Just see what happens. Well, let's get just the riff down, right? Let's get the riff down and then move on. So let's get the whole structure. Hey! Hey!
Hello, Brennan. How is your energy?
Way to go. Way to go, bro. Andre Ferry!
Whose camera is that? Is that Stacy's camera?
Hello, Jake. How was your energy? How was your energy? Hello, Joel. How was your energy?
All right, bro.
What's a lot of wireless going on here?
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Chris, you look like you've done that before.
How much was that? 40 bucks?
It's like I don't know, I got it for Christmas. They didn't steal the wireless keyboard.
Is that a Terminator plug right there? What is that?
Stand of an XR. And getting ready for the next record! It was a blast. You know, we've never taken quite so much time start to finish as we did with this one, where we really started pre-production in January, 15 months ago, and it really took a full year to come to fruition, which was nice. We had a chunk of time earlier where we had a few weeks for the guys to really start hammering out songs and forms, and we could really we did some scratch recording early, and then it was nice to be able to go back and listen, and before we actually went in to record and sort of get ideas down. And then once we actually recorded, we still had months and months and months of editing, overdubs, adding, subtracting. Hey, let's try it this way. You mix it a different way for a week, and you stew on it like that for a week, and then you put it in the closet and you don't listen to anything for 2 weeks, and you come back and you're like, wow, I never heard this. You give your ears a chance to refresh. But it was a good one. It was fun.
So the difference between this record and the last record, I think we knew more of what we wanted going into it. For instance, you just saw Brennan being very aggressive with me there. That wouldn't have happened on the last album. I think in particular, it's interesting because we went through with these a lot of songs that we didn't know going in, yet we had a better idea of what we wanted to do with them in the end. So I think there was a lot more openness in the process. You had a lot more also just kind of general focus about where we wanted to go with all that stuff.
Very proud of this record, yeah. It's even though I didn't contribute as much for the writing end of it, I'm still very proud of it. I think we made a really good record from beginning to end, very listenable, and it's a story, it's a conversation, I think, between two guitar players, which I think is important.
I think it was 7 days, 8 days straight of recording. I think we spread it out amongst 2 weeks. Yeah, so we were we didn't want to sit there and wait, spend too much time on the recording process. We wanted to bang it out a little more live and capture the moment a little more.
Yeah, we recorded as a band. Like the essential live tracking was done with everyone in the room playing to 2-inch tape. And we'd never played to 2-inch tape before, so there's like a sound that you get, a saturation that you get. The drums go thwack, and the bass goes vroom, and the guitars are nice and tacky over the top. And the thing with tape is it kind of generally mixes itself, like the tape saturation I talk about, the compression, the more you push the tape, like the levels, the more they hit the roof. So they'll just bleed a bit, if anything, or distort a little bit. So we were kind of getting that sound, and that's what was different from Anchor Drops, is that we recorded everything digitally first, and then went to tape. So we cut that process in half and went straight to tape first, live, where before everything was track by track, drums and bass, fleshing out the tunes. Was that long enough on that solo break, and then lay the solo over the top, which on Safety and Numbers, we did everything sort of off the cuff right there. And it takes a lot longer doing that because everyone has to nail the take, So 6 people or 5 people have to nail the take rather than like, oh, we can go punch that in later, So it's more gratifying.
Like the whole time they were recording, like it's funny, I was looking at all like the pictures on that e-card thing for the album. It's like all, they're all recording stuff, and there's a picture of me holding Budweiser. That's pretty much all I did, and I filmed a lot of stuff, with Ryan's camera. So like after everything is laid down, I went in like in May when I got my new rig. I waited to make sure I got my new rig and laid everything down. Spent like 2 days laying everything down. It gives me time to really listen to everything after it's been laid down and really think about what's necessary and what's not, and kind of come up with parts and stuff.
We all laid down together, and then like the drums and bass, whatever was best, kept, and then we went back in and did over dub. So, what was the question again?
I had a friend who couldn't sit still. He'd think until his hands began to spill things. Every morning he woke up but never thought he'd done enough the night before. And it's hard to break the habits that we make, but don't you know that life could take it from you anyway? If I could say it again, I'd make you remember when all the things we shared were unimpaired by anything.
Yeah. Well, as far as getting everything together, compiling all the data, it was kind of, everyone has little sections, or little Legos, as we like to call them. And sort of after, when we started coming together on these things, they were before the new year. So like December 2004, roughly, is when we were sort of getting all of our ideas together. We had some time off, so I made a mix CD of like 20 songs, out of probably 900 tunes that I have on a shelf somewhere. So just kind of plowing through all this. A lot of them are old ideas, sort of rough ideas that one might have a great chord progression in it, or something that might gel with something that Brendan might have or Joel might have. So it starts there, and then we all get into a rehearsal spot and we start tossing around these ideas and start maybe if we change the key signature or bump the tempo up on this, it'll interlock with this other idea someone else has. So a lot of the sections were like different points in time, just all kind of interlocking. So that's how the creative process starts, and then you start fleshing out the songs and get them to where they really, like, the sections feel good next to each other. And then before you know it, usually lyrics are the last thing, so you come up with this great musical landscape, and then the lyrics tend to sort of write themselves and the melodies over the top of these chords. So that's kind of what I brought to that piece of the puzzle.
I think that at the moment, I think that or during the times I was just bringing in rhythmic ideas that would work well with, sections. Oh, well, I did play one track on Vibes where I decided this would be cool to double up this nuance that was played on the guitar, I think, or piano, I think. It was piano. And I thought, well, I could really liven out a little more with the vibes, just doubling up on it. Just a real simple descending line. This tune, Intentions Clear.
According to the lyrics and the feel of different songs, and just kind of, we had like 3 or 4 different song orders, and just listening to it on the bus, see what works, see what didn't, trying to get that flow, trying to get that good flow going throughout.
Felt like with the double album we were going to make 2 good records and not a great record, so it didn't feel cohesive start to finish as an acoustic piece and an electric piece. So we decided to sort of pick and choose what we felt was the strongest, and also what we felt like worked as a full entity. There's some great songs that got cut, but they just didn't feel like they fit on the record.
So it was hard because there were a lot of songs in there that we really liked that we wanted to put out, but I think eventually we came up with the idea of, maybe 6 months down the road putting out a B-sides kind of thing. So at that point it's like, all right, we'll let these songs be heard, but just at some point later. Okay, so Liquid Stew, we're gonna do it how many times through? 3 probably?
Probably 3, and then on the 4th time we extend the last part and do it twice. This will be extended. And then it goes to just Joel, and we end on F sharp. It'll be fine. We're fucking professional. We'll rise above it. Alright.
Well, as far as credit-wise, a lot of those came out of Stewart's. That's Jimmy Stewart's. Some of the other songs, it's kind of funny. We recorded back in January, February, March, and that's when we did most of the bass tracks. And then waiting now until April 4th for the record to come out. I think we're playing a couple tunes tonight, or maybe one new tune off the record that we haven't played. I had to go back and listen to the CD and relearn all the parts. I mean, sitting on them for over a year.
Remember when you were a kid, simple things you want. all again. Ring the bell inside my head. Liquid in my
Any good album that I love is not about excessive overplaying or anything. If that's the case, I'll go listen to John Coltrane and really get something off of it, something good off of it. You know, I don't like to hear myself solo that much. You know, it's just fun to do it. And to make a record that I would be happy with and everyone else be happy with, just trim that fat away. That's how I like looking at it, is trimming the fat away from a great song, which is the excessive soloing, the waiting too long to get to the point. So that's where it feels good to listen. I can go back and still listen to the record and it still is fresh to me, and that's the key, I think, for the musicians that made the record, if it still sounds good. You know, even 10 years from now, still like, yeah, I'm glad we made that decision.
We recorded with Chris the first time for Anchor Drops, so it was nice to get in. And you know, it's kind of a live setting even when we're recording. The drums and the bass, you try to get that feel together and do it live. So it's not really like I'm isolated doing overdubs like vocally the vocalists would be doing, or overdubbing guitar parts. So it's kind of raw. For me, it felt great. It felt more mature, a little closer with Chris. Tighter, hopefully. But the songs aren't necessarily, you know, chops oriented. It's more song. It's a singer-songwriter style record.
I think the difference between this one and the first one was I think the overall music was, the vibe was more somber, more serious on this most recent, which will come out in April. I think that it kind of represents a lot of what we've gone through the last couple of years on tour, and a lot of darker subjects we're dealing with, and I thought it was very cool. Not very cool, but very real. A lot of expression on this, very emotional. The first one was done, it was like homegrown practically.
The place we recorded Anchor Drops was in like it used to be a studio, and we just kind of made it a studio. And Gravity is just like a great vintage studio with great vintage gear. You know, we recorded everything to tape, whereas Anchor Drops was recorded digitally, straight to Pro Tools, you know.
So, very similar production between Greatest Hits Volume 3, which we made in 1998, 2 months into the band. Now, it's funny how much our concept of studio has come along. I think Jake has really contributed to that a lot, because he has a lot of just general knowledge about how to record things and how to get from point A to point B where you're actually playing, and how it comes out of your speakers and sounds a certain way. So I think we've learned a lot from him in particular about how to use the studio better. Our first album, Greatest Hits Volume 3, we recorded in it was at back at the Johnson Supply warehouse. So yeah, it's been a little bit of a step up since then.
Well, with Anchor Drops, the majority of the stuff was already short of plunger and Pequod. That stuff was pretty much all flushed out, and we went in, we did some, you know, crossed the T's and dotted the I's, but nothing really. Just a much longer period to write for the studio. Like I said, we spent about 3 weeks writing every day, where everyone would bring their bits and pieces to the table, and the way the creative process sort of works is, as we call them, Legos. Everybody brings their pile of Legos, and you go through and you're like, you know what, this A section would work really good with my B section. I love your verse, I don't like your chorus. Let's try this chorus. It's like, hey, that works. Doesn't work, and that's how you get a song like Words, which is 3 completely different styles and sections that they were written different places, different headspaces, and all of a sudden you put them together, it's like, wow, this really flows, it moves. So having 3 weeks to actually write, and we recorded every day, and every couple of days I'd send everybody home with a copy, and everybody listen and come back and be like, this worked, this didn't, and so we definitely had more time, which only makes you want to take more time. Because then we're like, well, shit, we had 4 months to do that. we could crush this record, you know? So we hope that this record gets us to a place where we can take 4 months off and go set up shop somewhere and go nuts.
My take on the record, if you want to have anything I have to say about it, read the lyrics. It's much more collaborative than before because they pretty much, most of it was all new. So, I don't know, it's just a weird time. It was a dark period. And I don't really want to talk about it, to be honest.
If the words would surface, I'd scream now. Let me be part of this play. But I know you're worth the wait around. If I'm not, I understand. Never been enough time to slow down. I promise more when I get back in town. Lost in a circle, no window to find. A casual viewing could not reveal mine. There's safety in numbers, but I'm not impressed. A prayer for the taking, it's come down to this.
I was actually quite surprised that he would even be working with somebody like. I mean, I just think he's a legendary artist in his field.
We were fond of his work, and then I know we had some conversations with him, and then I know Jake and Brendan talked further about the lyrics and about the content of the album, and he sent over some sketches, and they were all amazing. Some were just a little too much, a little too personal, a little too dark, but ended up starting with Honey, the sheep. I think her name's Honey. And I think it worked out really well, and then the title, Safety in Numbers, and the way he used the title in the artwork.
Hypnosis was his old AKA, and if you look on a lot of the early Zeppelin or any of the sort of illustrations or anything like that, you see his name in there. He's done so many, So he's one of the go-to guys, so I figured let's start there and work our way down, and he bit right away, and we're like, well, let's keep this rolling. So we set out, we first needed to know what we were going to call the record, so we were throwing around a bunch of ideas, and there was a lyric in the song called The Passing. Passing is safety in numbers, but I'm not impressed. This is the next line, which is kind of funny. So it'll be tossed out there in effect of, well, if you don't really like it, the follow-up line to Safety in Numbers is, I'm not impressed. So it kind of had a funny ring to it, so we're calling the album out before anyone else can if it sucks, right?
Safety in Numbers by Umphrey's McGee, I think was in answer to a request by the band for a bit of levity, a bit of humour. Whereas if it's going to be a record cover, it's hopefully it's going to last a while, so to generate humour, or a sort of, light humour, irony, a chuckle, an oddness, you take something quite common and simply reverse it, or turn it upside down, or put it inside out. So it's along those kind of lines, and they often work visually because they're not too demanding. Whereupon a sheet was pulled over the sheep. There was one moment, I didn't know how long it lasted, for about, 2 minutes, when it did lie still and seemed to drift off because it seemed to relax. It was all to do with the sheep being nervous, which is not surprising because it's not often in bed, as far as I know. It was a simple answer to the band's request for a bit of humour. We were trying to the band are not too raucous, there is a fairly gentle, not gentle, it's the wrong word, they're quite active. It's not, they play with vigour, as it were, but it's not based on loudness in any way. It's not based on crashing guitars. It's all a bit more deft than that. So I can see why they felt it was suitable. I hope they like it as much as we do. Seriously. band.
Your food just got here, Ben.
Hey Stacy, the tape's running low?
Yeah. How many minutes left?
All right, bud.
Oh man, I think we've gone through so much growing up together in the last 2-3 years. It's ridiculous. We're in warp speed, and so we got to learn how to work it out together. You know, how to be compassionate but yet stern, and how to just understand what people really mean and really interpret what they mean. Because a lot of people don't have the patience to do that, and no matter how good you are at what you do, that coming down to the teamwork, team effort is what keeps a band together. You know, so I think we're getting really well aware of that more and more each day.
Yeah, I definitely see us now that this album is out, kind of moving back in the more progressive direction. We have a couple tunes that are really these large pieces of work with tons of sections, and you know, hopefully our fans will be able to get lost in those and not know where they're at in the middle of the songs.
And you know, we don't have to get all those people to like us. It's like some of those people will like us, some of those people won't. You know, we're just there to get those people that do like us and do like, oh wow, I never thought I would like this kind of music, but I think I do. You know, and so it's a great opportunity for us. You know.
Fuck yeah. Let's do this. That's how I feel. It's like, you know, like this is everything. This is all I got. So let's make it work. Let's go forward, not look backward. That's how I feel.
The more I'd realize the things I've seen through these eyes, there's only so much more that you could show.